Some of you know I've been working on a little discovery lately. I hesitate to call it a discovery. I'm sure I'm not the first one to discover this. And actually, Mike and I discovered it several years ago, and I have told the story several times about the giggle drive, when we made some corrections to the intake adaptive settings in my van. Basically made some changes with DAS and took the van for a test drive, and nothing really changed. The van was still kind of sluggish, and it wasn't in limp mode, it was just kind of soft and sluggish, and I probably wouldn't have even known it, except I had another van, similar year, similar, same size, same, pretty much same everything, and it had a whole lot more pep leaving the stoplights and getting up on the interstate. So I knew something wasn't quite right with my van. Mike helped me figure it out, resetting the intake adaptive settings. At first when we took it for a test drive, as I was saying, nothing really changed, so I kind of got sad. Okay, still haven't figured out what's wrong with my van. A couple days later I went up to Jacksonville, and 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles up the interstate, something was feeling a little different. It's like, gosh, I got more power than I've had in a while. This is starting to feel like the other van. And by the time I got off the interstate in Jacksonville, 100 miles north of here, I was literally giggling with excitement because this van had restored power like I hadn't seen in years. Now, what we've learned about that since then is the van has not had a T1N recall done, and certain situations can happen, and I believe part of that is the MAF dying very slow. That's the mass airflow sensor dying very slowly, and adapting those settings, those adaptive settings, to a point where they can't come back. We put a new mass airflow sensor in, and it sees the settings, it sees the values coming from the mass airflow sensor up here, but it expects them way down here because that's what it gradually adapted to as the old MAF died. So that's too far. It can't adapt its way back. The settings stay way over here. The new MAF doesn't do anything at all, and the EGR valve is never opened because the fuel air mix is so soft and weak. There's no reason for EGR. Of course, as a lot of you know, the purpose of EGR is to cool the combustion temperatures, and a cooler combustion has less NOx emissions. We won't get into that right now on this video, that's a whole nother topic. If we reset those intake adaptive settings, we restore the van's power to what it was years. Now, more recently, I've discovered a lot of vans are stuck. The EGR value is stuck at 6%. Now, that's not a feedback reading telling the ECM where the EGR is, or telling our app, our diagnosis app, where the EGR is. That's the command value being sent to the EGR, telling it how far to open. So if you have a code reader that's compatible with a Sprinter, you can go into your live data in the CDI module or the Common Rail module, go into the live data and look at the EGR value. If that stays at 6% or 5% and never moves, either your van is stuck in this situation or you've had an EGR delete done, and well, we won't talk about that in this video either. That's a whole nother can of worms. Now, if your EGR is displaying a 6% command value all the time, I have a solution for you. And follow along the rest of this video. I'm going to show you how I diagnosed it in a couple of vans. I've got 2 out of 3 vans where it was a problem, where the EGR value is stuck at 6% when I started this test. One van did not have that EGR value stuck at 6%. It fluctuated as it's supposed to. I did try to use the resistor. A lot of people have talked about this resistor hack of an EGR delete, and I proved the theory on that if you stick that resistor into a van where the EGR is already stuck at 6%, you've done nothing. You've mimicked the EGR being there, but you haven't eliminated anything because the EGR already wasn't doing anything. It's just sitting at 6%. If the EGR is getting commands and your value is not stuck at 6%, as soon as the airflow doesn't respond to those commands, you're going to get codes. You're going to get limp mode, and therefore the resistor trick will not work for you. So, in short, the resistor isn't really a delete. It's a fine substitute for an EGR if your EGR isn't doing anything. You're replacing a rock with a stone. Whoop-de-doo. Don't do that. Glow plug codes, 5 of them. EGR stuck at 6%. half is good, but the EGR is not moving. This van has not had a T1N recall. Alright, so I've installed the resistor. Now with the resistor in, still nothing happening with the EGR, no big surprise there. Mass airflow sensor responds both at the voltmeter and here on the MB2. I still have the same 5 codes, all glow plug related. Alright, so pod van. Cold start idle, 23%. Air mass is a little lower. This van is running properly as designed with the EGR opening and closing relative to the throttle position. Alright. Escape out of that. Escape. Fault memory 6 codes. Let's put the EGR resistor in and see what happens. Quick roll through these. It's 1482. That's a glow plug code. 2133, 34, 35, 36, 37. All 5 glow plugs in the module. So we know what those codes are. Nothing to do with EGR. Right, pod van. Resistor is installed. Ensuring we have good electrical contact. Set that off to the side here. And start it up. Oops. Still just 6 codes. Our EGR value was much less at first, but now it's up there where it should be. Our air mass is higher, curiously. Well, not curiously, because our EGR isn't actually open. That's why the air mass is higher. It's commanding the EGR to open. It's not open, but I'm not getting any dash lights because of it. That's curious. Seems a little bit sluggish. I'm accustomed to a 2500. This is a 3500. Turbo lag was super slow there. I heard it. I heard the sound of the exhaust change all of a sudden. And sure enough, now we have 7 codes. I drove it probably 1.5 miles, up to 60 miles an hour. Okay, maybe it was more than 1.5 miles. Yeah. Short test drive up to highway speed, no apparent codes. After backing into a parking spot just before I shut it off, I heard something change in the exhaust, and sure enough, there is a code for EGR. Now that we've set that EGR code, the van is an absolute dog. All the way down. I can't get any throttle. Let's see what happens here. Let's go to actual values. Exhaust gas. EGR value is now stuck at 6%. And I've got no power. I'm going to do a rolling reset. 6% with no power. Oh, there's my power. And there's my EGR. I didn't clear the code, I only did a rolling reset on it. Reset the ignition. And we are definitely out of limp mode. EGR value is being commanded again. Wait for it. As soon as that went to 6%, the throttle response got reduced considerably. Now, why is that at 6%? I don't know. I can restart the van and pull it out of that. Wait for it. And there it is. And of course, that's throttle responsive now. And I can hear something change when it goes to that 6%. It's almost like I unplugged the math, but I know I didn't. Nothing happens when I unplug the map. When it flips off the default values, actuator pops up, EGR locks to 6%. This is Purple Van, also known as Backpack, currently sitting at 6% at idle. I give it a little RPM here. Nothing happens with that. Nothing happens with the EGR value. So Purple Van does have an oxygen sensor related code that comes right back when cleared. That might have something to do with this. Let's go into live data. EGR 6%. Throttle is very responsive. turbo actuator is not popped up. Unplug the map. When I unplug the MAF, it pops up and I hear that same noise the other van does without unplugging the MAF. As soon as I plug that back in, it pops back down. But we're still at 6%. And now we're going to have codes for mass airflow sensor.
So this van is always stuck at 6% EGR command, and it doesn't care one bit about the resistor being installed. It doesn't go into limp mode, well, until I unplug the MAF, which of course causes limp mode, but yeah, we can drive it around all day. It doesn't care about that resistor or plugging the EGR in. Either way, it runs the same. Now, if we unplug the EGR and don't install a resistor, of course it goes into limp mode right away.
Alright, it actually takes more than 4 minutes for this computer to boot up, but it seems to be there now, so we're going to start. I'm going to hit OK. Then ignition enabler. Double click that. And go ahead and open Xentry as well. Well, is it doing it? I don't know. Oh, something just popped up there, so I guess it's doing something. Alright, it's talking about the connector. We have USB cable going over to the OBD port in our van, so we want to OK that. Aha, okay. Capital X. Entry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And log in. Login successful. Okay. Give that a minute to load. One tap on Mercedes logo. One tap on van. Sprinter 2 for a T1N. And I'm going to page over 2 times. 1, 2. 903.663. Suppose different vans could pick differently there, but I think we're going to end up the same place anyhow. Continue. 647 722.681 is our transmission. Continue. Don't care about firewall. Xentry diagnosis right down here.
I've edited out a lot of waiting time, just waiting for the software to do its thing. So as you're following along here and the software doesn't seem to be moving as fast as I am, that's a trick of editing, so be patient. It takes forever.
Retail data storage, don't care. Close that. Okay, general conditions, views, blah, 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 F2. Now might be a good time to turn the key on. We're at 901.6. Well, yeah, 901 anyhow. So we'll F3 that. USA and Canada. And, yeah, whatever. F2. That's okay, and so is this. We're going to call this perp. And the odometer's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Or F2 rather. Quick test, we'll run them all. We don't want to do that, so we're going to go straight to control units. Either F3 or double click. We're concerned with the drive line. Common rail 647. Switch on ignition. Okay, we did that already. And we will tell it we did it up here. Safety notes? Sure, we read those. You read the safety notes, didn't you? I read the safety notes. Control unit adaptations. And either double click or click once in F3. Resetting the adaptation values. Intake air system, charge air system, this one down here. And we see they're pretty close to zero. One's a negative, a couple of positives. Switch ignition off. Okay. And switch it off there. Please wait 20 seconds. We can take that key out so it doesn't keep beeping. And it's going to tell me to turn the ignition on. Yep, switch ignition on. And confirm it up here. And we have cleared the values. These values will reset successfully in the control unit CDI. So we will continue. And I might be resetting them again. I'm not 100% sure. Nope. Good, we are backed out. All right, so we've had a rough go of it here with the DAS, but finally got the math settings reset. And I'm going in now to see if the EGR is operating. Live data. Positioner overview. Still 6%. As soon as I started going, it started moving. It didn't do that before. We definitely have changed things by resetting the intake, or the MAF values. Mass airflow, or air mass rather, value is below 500 now. Before it was a little bit above 500 even at idle. EGR still isn't acting the way I expect it to. What is this dude doing all of a sudden? Wow, That's a new technique right there. Oh shit. Yeah, that was different. I'm not 10 miles from the house. Hell, I'm not 7 miles from the house yet. And when I stick my foot in it, she's doing different things. That was almost exciting. Had I known it was going to jump like that, I wouldn't have done it with that car in front of me. I'm up to 85 before the sign, so I was just about that blue sign last time when I was hitting 85 mile an hour. So that's a notable difference. Find us on Facebook for more free advice and tips. Follow the profile Florida Van Man the page and join the discussion group Florida Van Man the group. If you find our advice and videos helpful, please be a part of making it all happen. Under the Donate tab of our webpage, you'll find links for PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and we also take Zelle for one-time donations. Membership includes discounts to our events, early access to all of our videos as soon as they're made, and one-on-one assistance when you need help with your van. In the Facebook group, you'll get views and advice from experts and amateurs from around the world. While you're in the group, please check out the files section where you'll find a complete code list and service manuals for the North American Sprinters 2004 through 2006 and 2002 to 2003, as well as a few other helpful documents. Please be kind to our friends who have helped us learn along the way. Million Mile Sprinter, SOS Diagnostics, and Williams Diesel have all been key in getting us where we are today. In just a few seconds, you should see a few links, including a couple to our latest videos and one to our Patreon page where you can join a membership and start taking advantage of member benefits while you help support Florida Van Man and keep these videos coming.